Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back from New York City. You're currently watching WCS America, the final weekend of WCS America. We already have 4 players on to the round of 4. We're Young Hero Revival live. You're currently watching the consolation bracket where the winner will get that last spot in that global season final in Korea.
That's right. 4 players fighting for that 5th place spot. Moonglade up 2-1 right now. One more game and he wins. Game 4 is going to be on Cloud Kingdom. This is a pretty crazy map.
Yes, Cloud Kingdom, you never know what you're going to get. There's so many, there's a variety of strategies that can be used. So many counterattack paths. You always got to be watchful of those all-ins, those proxy pylons, lots of places to hide those. A very dynamic map, and it's been around a very long time. So both these players should be very familiar with it. Should be in for a treat here. In game number 4, a very important game, potential decider. I have the pleasure of being able to introduce our players, beginning with in the top right-hand location. The Red Protoss player hailing from Korea and representing Team Axiom. He must win 2 in a row here to keep his chances alive in this consolation bracket of WCS America. He is Alicia. His opponent. The bottom left-hand location, I present your Blue Zerg player. Hailing from Australia and representing Team Envy, he is 1 win away from advancing to the consolation bracket final. He is Moonglade.
I wonder if Moonglade's going to go for a hatchery first here. He's noticed his opponent doing the gateway expand every single game. And of course, if the scouting time that Alicia's been doing, he's in time to block a pool then hatch opening, but he doesn't get across the map in time to block the hatchery first. Now, of course, it's kind of risky. If you go hatchery first and your opponent does open with a fast forge, you can be cannon rushed. Also, if they scout after pylon instead of after gateway, they can get there in time to block that hatchery. But I think it's a pretty intelligent risk, and Moonglade actually is doing it.
Wow.
He's identified the last 3 games, my opponent's on the same build every game. The build he's doing, there's no way he can punish me going hatchery first, and hatchery first is just slightly better economically than the pool hatch.
Yep.
And it's actually more than slightly better if you do pool hatch and your hatch ends up getting blocked by this really pesky probe.
And he's still droning too, so it's not like he's going for the pool right away, really trying to get his economy pumped up there.
Even extractor before pool.
Yeah.
This is a very scary build to do a gateway expansion because with the super amount of larva that Zerg is going to have, and Zerging speed comes out very fast as well with this opening, it becomes you have to be very paranoid as a Protoss, because there's always a possibility that all of a sudden 30 speeding show up in your door when you only have 2 to 3 gateway units. Of course, it would be an all-in build for the Zerg to do that, but that possibility exists and you have to be aware of it.
All right. See what happens here. Of course, the early stages, Moonglade's going to be a bit happy getting away with this stuff, but again, not going to have too lasting of an impact on this game, but again, very worth knowing. Anything can still happen here. Cybercore about to finish here for Alicia, moving a probe out to his natural expansion, potentially expand fairly soon. Warp Gate starting right away. And again, Cloud Kingdom, the 3 bases, relatively okay to handle. You got a ramp leading up there, 3 pathways entering it as well. So the macro game is definitely doable. But 2 base aggression happens, right? There's a lot of places you can hide pylons. A favorite spot for Protoss players at the very, very, very bottom side of the map. Of course, we see Alicia scouting the fact that his opponent did indeed take guys off of gas, so he doesn't have to worry about anything too scary.
Of course, this is the point we'll see if Moonglade goes for any type of crazy mass speeding Nolan. Looks like he's still making drones, so if he was planning for the speeding Nolan, he would be making nothing but speedings. And this is a build that's very difficult for Protoss to scout as well, so it is sometimes used. He's definitely going to be happy with the way the openings works. Alicia is going to work on getting that wall in up as soon as possible.
Yep, 1 gateway down, and a second gateway should be going down, bringing him to 3 in total, adding on that second gas in his main base. See some lings meandering around the map. Gonna look for probes leaving Alicia's side of the map. Just making sure to get those so they don't put down those pylons. But a probe able to sneak to the bottom here. Gonna check on the progress of that 3rd base, or lack thereof.
And this probe could be potentially extremely annoying. Of course, Moonglade, every game so far, he's done an excellent job of scouting out for those proxy pylons. And he did watch just recently the VODs of Alicia versus Snoot. And in those in the game Alicia vs. Snoot on Cloud Kingdom, you know where Alicia hit his pylon?
Right where the probe is right now?
Exactly. The exact same spot he's hiding at this game. So if Moonglade took a look at those games and noticed that, he is definitely going to be sure to scout that location. Of course, players do mix up their pylon spots. Obviously, he's not going to, only check that location. But it is a location he should keep in mind to check because it was already used.
Warp gate is done. 3 warp gates are in production right now.
Actually, Moonglade's not even taking third base. Sorry, he's actually just he's on 2 gas.
I didn't see that one at the natural.
Doing a very different build.
Is he doing that double evolution chamber thing? Oh no, fast layer. Will he just go to mutas or something?
This is interesting. It's not super obvious. This could even be. It could even be some type of Nidusol in. Like it would obviously be with Hydras or most likely Hydras at this point. 2-base muta is a possibility, but against an opponent who's been opening Stargate most games, or was a 1DT game, but otherwise he has a Stargate behind the 3 gateways. If you go 2-base muta into Protoss Scouts, they can just crank out Phoenix. And it's not like we saw Moonglade was so good at using muta Corruptor versus Phoenix. But that's a situation when you have a lot of gas, you can afford to get both. Off just 2 bases, it's very difficult. So we are going to see the Roach Horn and the +1 range weapons. The lair still hasn't revealed yet its purpose.
This is Swarm Host.
Yeah, it's not 100% clear what it's going to be.
We'll find
the
out
third
in
hatchery is
about
going.
10 seconds.
Alicia is going into Scout as well with that Mothership Core. Moonglade is only mining off of 3 of his gases.
Layer is done. He might just get Roach Speed. I mean, that's a possibility.
Could get Roach Speed. He's scouted Alicia. He sees the Void Ray. Very, very important to know the opponent's going Void Ray and not Phoenix. Taking out the Proxy Pylon. And Alicia is getting the air attack upgrade. He's doing it.
Void Rays.
He's doing his Void Ray build. when it's down to it, he can't afford to lose another map.
Yeah.
Go for the ultimate PvZ strategy where you just make Void Rays. So typically what this build, what Alicia does is after he gets enough gateway units to move on and take his third, usually about 5 to 6 gateway units to defend against speedings, he takes a third base, then adds 2 additional Stargates and just cranks out pure Void Rays. Of course, this build, there is some timing vulnerabilities because you're spending a lot of money on Stargates and then Void Rays, yet they take a while to produce. So you have all this sunk cost into Stargates and then paying.
Probe!
He gets it!
Stick in there, little guy. No, he's gonna die.
Oh, and 2 force fields being used as well there.
One Zergling is very claustrophobic behind one of the force fields. He's probably gonna die.
Oh, yeah, looks like the Void Rays going to shoot him down. Each force field is very important because he doesn't want to get more sentries because he wants to spend all his gas on Void Rays.
Yes.
And that's going to mean that basically if Moonglade goes for a big timing on the third base, which he's getting 10 speedings and 5 roaches.
He's been making units for a long time.
He only has 44 drones. So he's definitely doing a super aggressive option. And I think he knows Alicia's build. He knows Alicia's going to be spending all the money on the 2 extra Stargates, additional Void Rays, and he might have a chance of overwhelming Alicia with just 3 base mass Roach Hydra speeding.
Let's see if he waits for the Hydras, because he's mixing in 5 more drones, and his economy isn't fantastic. It looks like he's going to do a little push here with a lot of Lings and Roaches. Of course, none of this stuff actually shoots up, so Void Ray is going to kill it eventually, but it's enough DPS and enough stuff that it's so hard for Protoss to kill all of it before that third can be denied.
There's so many Roaches, I don't think there's any way that third can be saved. Of course, with the amount of drones Moonglade has, Alicia doesn't need to save the third if he can get cost-efficient trades. 2
more Stargates being added on here, and Moonglade content to back up, make 14 drones, just wanting to deny that third. That's the only reason he made all those Roaches, all those Lings. Later on in this game, look for him to do, this is the counterattack squad. This is the squad that's not going to have much use as the game goes along. Maybe hide him at the top lane, go into the third, maybe hide him at the bottom right, the middle right, try to attack into your opponent's natural expansion. But right now, Moonglade is gonna work on finding a response to the mass Void Rays that are coming out of his opponent.
Moonglade making a lot of Hydras. He may just go for another attack and try to hit and just keep it on a third over and over and over again. Roach Hydra does not beat Void Ray Gateway Unit as armies scale up, but in the short run, Moonglade can outproduce the Void Ray Gateway combination and overwhelm it with superior numbers. We see Alicia moving out here. He does have a recall, and he may need to use it because Moonglade has a lot of Roaches and Hydralists.
That's part of this. Moving out with another score at around this time is great because it's right when your third is about to finish. So you can go be aggressive and then just recall right back to your third if your opponent decides to try to counterattack. You see Alicia coming to the bottom side of the map here. That third Nexus, that's the only where it needs to finish. It is approaching it, but Moonglade is getting close to that location. He knows his opponent's army is at his 4th base. The Nexus is about to finish. The unit's attacking it. He needs to recall back to it. Let's see if he does it.
It's kind of risky to recall because the sentries would spawn instantly surrounded by the Roach Hydra. So instead he's going to go try to kill a third and he'll recall back to save his natural. Moonglade not evacuating drones, taking a lot of damage at this third base.
A bit of a base trade situation. We have a Spire in production. Alicia charging into his opponent's natural expansion, approaching his third. Moonglade desperately trying to place as many static defenses down as possible, and he's going to recall back to his natural expansion. So I'm not sure who... What an interesting little thing there. I'm sure he's going to cancel all those spores at his natural. Unless he should have done that already.
Yes, he canceled them all. And going forward, Moonglade does have the economic advantage as long as that third hatchery stays alive. Zealots are actually doing a lot of damage to the hatchery. Drones are being pulled. Okay,
there's some lanes. Yeah, it should be safe.
But while he has that economic advantage, it's not a big economic advantage. And the army size of Alicia is substantially ahead of Moonglade. So you see the food's equal, but you're talking about a Void Ray Sentry army against just Roach Hydra. This is a very tough composition to beat if you don't have the tech Zerg units, the Infestors, the Vipers, the units that can really counteract the Void Rays.
And more Void Rays being added on.
There's no Mothership Core this time. Or no, it's a little bit behind. Okay. It is still with Army.
Okay. So, a good tactic here. You can always recall out. And Alicia is more worried about keeping his army alive. And he's okay with his third being denied over and over. I mean, it's not fun, but it's not the end of the world. Because as long as you keep those Void Rays alive, as long as you keep adding in the Void Rays, and limiting your opponent's economy, limiting your opponent's production, you're going to be fine. And Moonglade has no response to this. He's going to try to come up with something, but let's see what happens.
This is such a narrow passageway. Force fields are so powerful in this position. We can see there, every 5-6 units that get picked off are very, very important to Moonglade.
Third canceled again, by the way. Alicia unable to get that down, but he might just go into the main, potentially.
He could send a Void Rays main. Another great set of force fields.
Great force fields there from Alicia, splitting up the army. Moonglade having such a hard time coming up with an answer to this Void Ray composition. There's a Time Warp, and it's one of those things where Moonglade is just so restricted economically. He's back down to 2 bases. He's unable to get that composition out necessary to deal with this. There's
no recall, and the Void Rays aren't creep with no more force fields. Alicia sees this, backs away, because this is an army he can't afford to lose. He can't afford to rebuild it.
Yes.
He's significantly ahead right now, but if he loses these Void Rays, so let's say if all of a sudden enough Hydras get out to run under the Void Rays and pick them off, that could turn the game around. So Alicia being very smart in backing up here.
Of course, the 2 things that prevent that are force fields, and then, of course, recalling out. Right when that's about to happen, Alicia realizing those 2 options are unavailable to him, so going to be backing away, heading towards these additional expansions, making sure Moonglade is restricted to 2 bases, which isn't a fun feeling. Do have Pathogen Glands on the way, plus 2 missile attacks.
This is a lot of Void Rays. 6 more Void Rays meeting up. Alicia is about 60 food ahead here. Moonglade realizes this amount of Void Rays you can't beat with Hydras. He's trying to get the Infestors. If he can get the Infestors out in time and chain the perfect amount of Fungals without recall, if all of a sudden Alicia doesn't realize the Infestors are there, normally what you do against Hydras is you group all your Void Rays in as small an area as possible so the Hydras don't have as many angles they can shoot the Void Rays from. But if you do that, if you put your Void Rays in a dot and you get hit by 6 Fungals in a row, you're going to have a lot of unhappy Void Rays.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic point. But Alicia, he's being patient for now. I'm wondering if he's going to try to transition into something else, maybe mixing some Colossi to his composition. But it doesn't look like he's making any moves in that direction. He is putting down a Forge.
And adding more sentries.
Yeah, so he might try to, but for now he's just playing defensive, just playing really safe.
This is his first Forge of the entire game at the 18-minute mark. So the Forge is there because he wants to build cannons, realizing his healing run-bys are a potential. Also, he might want to get the shield upgrade. Warping in more sentries. Sentries are so important when using Void Rays against Hydras.
Of course, now the Infestors are here. Alicia has to be very careful. More static defenses being added on from Moonglade. Must defend this third. He absolutely must. It's not something he can give up again.
Has he spotted the Infestors? If he doesn't know they're there, this could be disastrous for Alicia.
Oh, the Fungal goes down onto the Void Rays. Is that what Moonglade needed? Another Fungal going down. Moonglade trying to chain the Fungals onto these Void Rays. The Hydra's getting some decent damage done, and those Void Rays are clumped up a lot. Alicia definitely caught a little bit off guard here. The Hydra's doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Alicia trying to back away, but a really good trade there from Moonglade.
Picking off a couple key Void Rays. If he only had 3 more Infestors, he might have gotten the entire pack. Building more and more Infestors. Moonglade now wants to delay an engagement until he can regenerate the energy. He took a good engagement, was very efficient, but he's still very far behind in army size. He still has to be very afraid of the army that Alicia can field.
Alicia posturing on the bottom side of the map again behind this. Has secured a 3rd base, adding on those gases there too. Very nicely saturated. Also, Zealots were wrapped around the north side of the map there to attack that that left expansion, and they're doing it again. I love Protoss players who are doing this. Of course, it's not something that's going to pay off right now, but a minute later, it's just like you have a pylon warping across the map, and you're warping in some harassment, except the Zealots are walking and might be a little bit more tired when they get there.
Alicia is trying to go towards Storm. Storm is an amazing response to Infestors and Hydras. Of course, you can use feedback as well against those Infestors.
This is a little crazy.
Yeah, 2 random groups units meeting at the top left. The Zealots will win if there's no micro, but the Hydras have speed and there's no charge. So theoretically, the Hydras could keep cutting the Zealots, but that would take a lot of attention from Moonglade. He's willing to do it though. He says, you know what, I'll do it. I'll micro. Pretty
bizarre skirmish happening here in the north. Well, 4 versus 5. Who's gonna win? 4 versus 4. The Hydras continue to kite here. The 3 Zealots trying to pursue. And the Hydras are
1 more Hydra will fall down, as Moonglade says, you know what, I'm tired of microing. Let's go back and make some more units. Alicia is slowly losing some of his supply advantage, and that's just due to the fact that Moonglade now has a decent economy.
Yeah.
Moonglade's been able to get those Infestors, had a great efficient trade. Alicia still, though, it has to be considered winning this game. His 3rd is established. He has Templar out in the field now.
Yeah.
And this is a combination that's very difficult to beat when almost your entire army is Hydras. Hydra is so vulnerable to Psionic Storm.
So what's the next step here for Moonglade? How does he appropriately react to the High Templar play? Is it just a positioning thing?
Positioning is going to be super, super, super important. Even Vipers can actually be okay if you can yank a couple Void Rays out of the pack.
Sure.
Another thing that can be helpful is if you have the resources and you can get a lot of Speedlings, you can send in the Speedlings first to try to take out the Templar and then push him back so your Hydras don't get stormed. Some Zerg players even actually like to use Swarm Hosts against this composition, saying, you know what? Yes, the Swarm Host can't beat the Void Rays, but if I can push the Templar back, then the Infestors, Hydras can easily deal with Void Rays, even if I don't have that many Infestors and Hydras.
You know, Moonglade can also realize, okay, I can't engage that thing straight up, and just set up a slow, long game, setting up static defenses, and playing more like a very defensive style of Zerg.
That looks like exactly what he has in mind. Spines and Spores at his 3rd and 4th base. He's also going to the Storm mode, so you realize his Storm is in the picture, and you can't fight Storm with just Hydras and Infestors. If you can get enough Locusts out to keep damaging the ground army, then the Hydra and Infestor come in behind to cover the Locusts and do their work.
All right, Void Rays and High Templars coming to the south. Spore Crawler is trying to reposition here. Alicia could have tried to use that as a pivoting point there, a trigger, but Spore Crawler is able to get into the ground very quickly nowadays. Swarm Host being added onto.
They're lifting up again. Of course, Alicia very afraid to have his army charge down a ramp when there's so many fungal growths available. The more the Protoss armies come.
By the way, at the base up there, but Spine Crawlers and Hydras going to be plenty enough. Moonglade doing a great job having that static defense in place, having those Hydras there, realizing the potential of the Zealot attack.
Both players nearing max. Alicia with more money in the bank, but Moonglade does have some Spore Crawlers to help him out. Moonglade's army very Hydra heavy. A couple key storms could get rid of most of it. Trying to add more and more Swarm Hosts into the mix to help out against those High Templar.
Very tense moment right now. Both players max, which means they both know a big engagement is inevitable. But both players playing very patient right now. Alicia securing a base at the top side of the map, going into extra stuff, adding on a Robo Bay, adding on a Dark Shrine. I think that's a +2 weapons upgrade too.
He also has a Fleet Beacon, so he can get +2 air weapons. Moonglade going towards a hive. He's going to want to add in Vipers into his composition. And of course, behind the Locust, the Vipers can really use those abducts quite efficiently.
I wonder how good Nidus play would be here.
That's a very good point. It would be a great way to burn off some of the Hydras.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because eventually he's going to want to get rid of those in favor of, you know, a little bit more beefy units, more Swarm Hosts.
Another Zealot attack. Looks like once at the left side, and they retreat, realizing that there's way too much stack defense. And Moonglade says, you know what, let's add some more spawns and spores. But Moonglade's army hasn't realized that Alicia's moved his whole force to the left side.
He needs to have control of that Watchtower, that Stalker beam.
He does. That's extremely bad for Moonglade, because this base will go down super fast.
Oh, the Swarm Hosts need to be in the area. Alicia taking his opponent off guard. Meanwhile, some Locusts attacking into his opponent's third base. It's going to get dealt with pretty easily. And there's no defenses here. The Void Ray is powering down this expansion, and Moonglade just going to attack toward the right-hand side and just going to say, all right, let's trade a base for a base.
I love that decision. Of course, maybe ideally he wouldn't have had to do this, but he realized there's no way to save that left side base. He was caught unprepared there. Just going to trade a hatchery for a Nexus. Both players will back away. A lot of drones going down. That was I think he meant to retreat those. A little bit of a misclick by Moonglade.
And Alicia got all of his probes away.
The High Templar, though, have to be careful with this Locust wave coming forward.
Zealots and Stalkers coming up here. at the national expansion. Again, a point where Alicia's just trying to trade away supply, be a little bit cost efficient. Meanwhile, sending most of his army here towards Moonglade's 4th base that's trying to get remade. A lot of Zelts being warped in as well. Could this be the push Alicia is going to try to win?
He's going to try to break the spores before the Hydras and Infestors are there to help defend.
Oh, no, I think it's too late. Infestitarian's coming down, the Locust Swarm coming out as well, and yes, he will back away. Templar's coming up here, going to try to get some swords down. Great storms onto the Hydras and the Locust, feedbacking some Infestors as well. 2 of those popping for free.
Oh man, if only he hit one Fungal on that Templar pack, the Locust would have taken out almost all those High Templar. As is Alicia able to retreat, keep his Templar alive. Those are the most important units in his composition.
Moonglade taking back control of that watchtower, getting rid of that stalker. That's exactly what he has to do. Make sure to prevent those counterattacks. But DTs are now in play here for Alicia, so this might get very taxing for Moonglade as far as APM is concerned very quickly.
All the Spore Cores just lifted up and left when the DTs came in.
Oh gosh.
That's unfortunate. He might kill his base though.
I think he
nice
will.
Snipe on a Nexus.
Yeah, he's going to kill it. DTs are going to be there swiping things up, but now Moonglade knows about their presence. DTs heading straight for the Hive. Oh well, the Queen. I feel like killing the Hive would be great, or the Infestation Pit.
Going straight for the Queen.
There we
Locust trying to pick away that right side base. Alicia's army is going to try to catch the Hydra that's off guard.
Oh, they're almost caught off guard, trying to get out of there again. Moonglade having so much trouble dealing with the DT play as well. He's having to worry about so many things. The army posturing around the middle of the map, the terrifyingly big army from Alicia, as well as DTs in his main, DTs at his 3rd, and potentially DTs in the army. So Moonglade definitely getting spread out a lot here.
Oh man, Alicia taking full control of this map. Alicia's been able to go up to 5 bases behind this, has full control of the center, being able to keep Moonglade on just 4 bases. The Hive goes down.
Yeah, it's slowly but surely Alicia picking off very important things. First, the 4th base on the left-hand side of the map, then a couple Infestors and a lot of great storms on Hydras and Locusts, and then sending DTs into his opponent's main base, and more DTs sweeping in there, going straight into the natural expansion. Moonglade might try to go for an engagement, throwing down Fungals onto those Warriors. That can be great, but the High Templars coming up, getting those feedbacks down. Alicia has to be, or Moonglade has to be so careful here not to lose too many Infestors to those High Templars.
Oh, Alicia's High Templar control is just fabulous. They're so cost efficient, always being able to escape with them as well.
See DT's trying to flank, but there are Overseers in that composition again. Moonglade, he is down in supply, and his economy is not doing so good, but as long as he can keep this composition alive, he's going to be okay. But big engagement going to happen here. Borders going for High Templars with ridiculous storms on the Zerg army here of Moonglade. Alicia going for it right now. The Swarm hosts are cooling down, trying to get more Locusts on the ground. Colossus being added on to this composition from Alicia. He's up 177 to 79 supply. Some Fungals nabbing the Void Rays, but I think Alicia's looking super good in this game.
He's done Moonglade's been able to do a ton of damage to the Void Rays. They're almost all dead, but unfortunately, the Swarm host backbone was broken.
GG. Wow, what a game there from Moonglade and Alicia. Alicia able to take it. You know, Moonglade showing a lot of patience, but Alicia just showing how good he is at multitasking. You know, attacking his opponent's 4th, sending DTs in there, really being as annoying as possible. And against a composition like Swarm Host and Infestor, that can be a huge headache to deal with.
It absolutely can. Alicia's shown his late game control is absolutely spectacular. Both game number 1 and this last game number 4. His Templar, so amazing. He always hits the feedbacks. He almost never gets those Templar fungal growth. The storms are amazing in every situation. This guy is somebody you do not want to let build High Templar.
All right, guys, I think we're about to get into our first game 5 of the night.
Yes. Ooh. It is.
First game 5 of the night, guys, coming up. We're tied up 2-2. Alicia and Moonglade. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back from New York City. Getting a little bit darker, a little bit later on here into the evening, but the action inside is getting oh so much more intense. Axel Toss and Axlab here providing coverage of Alicia versus Moonglade. We're tied 2-2. I'm going to ask the players if they are ready.
Is Alicia undefeated when he masses Void Rays?
Oh, that's a great question.
He went 2-0 versus Nesty.
You know, I think you might be right.
And he just won this one too. And I can't remember exactly all the other games, but this guy's mass Void Ray play is just spectacular. It's Axiom's secret weapon, and you know what? If it's a deciding game on a map like Daybreak, Daybreak's a long map, it often goes to those late game situations. Why not do the Void Rays one more time?
We'll see what happens. A very important game on our hands. Again, we're tied 2-2. What's at stake here is birth into the global finals. Global Season 1 finals in Korea. Of course, we have 4 players in this consolation bracket. Snoot, Crank, Alicia, Moonglade. Snoot versus Crank is coming up next. Of course, Mr. Bitter in Rotterdam will be here for that, so if you're looking forward to that, definitely stay tuned. Right now we're watching Alicia versus Moonglade. They're tied 2-2. The winner advances on to the semi-final of the consolation, or the final, excuse me, of the consolation bracket, which will be played tomorrow, as well as the semi-finals of the WCS America and the final. So definitely looking forward to that. But allow me to introduce the players in this game number 5 in the top right-hand location. We have the Red Protoss player who is seemingly undefeated when massing a Void Rays, representing Team Axiom, and hailing from Korea, he is Alicia. His opponent in the bottom left-hand location, your Blue Zerg player, hailing from Australia, and representing Team NV, he is Moonglade. Both these guys looking super serious. They know exactly how important this game is. The loser will be out of WCS America.
Again, going for the Gateway expansion is Alicia, even though the map is Daybreak, which traditionally favors the Nexus first build. Alicia's saying, you know what? I love my Gateway expansions. Moonglade checking for a proxy Gateway in his base. Why not, I guess?
You never know, man. You never know.
Not going hatch first. So that means the probe will get there in time to stop the hatchery from going down. Quite annoying.
Moonglade going to start pecking away at that guy as soon as possible, so he's not delayed too much.
Some Zerg players like to take the hatchery to third base if they see their opponent blocking them too much, but against an opponent doing a Gateway expansion, it can be a little bit tough because Gateway expansions can have warp gate much faster, they can have anything across the map much faster, and so getting a natural further away is a little bit more of a detriment. And Moonglade getting a hatchery down to natural without too much of a hassle.
Probe going to let that happen. Getting low in health down to 10 HP. Didn't want to get down to 5, so decided to back away. Let that hatchery go down, of course. Knows exactly what his opponent is doing. Saw the natural getting placed down in the spawning pool timing.
This is a map where Moonglade is going to want to use the Mulis.
You think so?
Daybreak's a great map for Mulis play. It's not such a great map for trying those denying of the third tactics we saw in Cloud Kingdom.
Right.
Both because it takes much longer for the Zerg units to cross the map, which is super relevant with Roaches and Hydras in particular, but also because as you're trying to move into the third, you're fighting through a single passageway, which can be basically much easier for the Protoss to just use force fields, cut your army in half. We saw exactly how effective force fields plus anything were against the Hydra-less composition.
Nexus going down here from Alicia, as well as the second gas. Again, very standard play from him. You know, something he hasn't been able to do throughout this series. Well, he was able to do it last game, but it didn't matter too much as far as the pylon across the map. Now, there's a sneaky probe at the top, but look at that. The Ling gonna find him. Great scouting there from Moonglade.
You know, Moonglade has very effective anti-probe Zerglings. When Alicia played around of 16, he played against Snoot, Sen, and Nesty.
Yes.
I don't think there was a single game he played like eight maps against Zerg in round of 16. He had an all Zerg group besides him. And I don't think there's a single map where he wasn't able to always get down to proxy pylon. And so far, Moonglade's been shutting that proxy pylons down very effectively. Of course, this game going for 4 gateways. So
he definitely wants that pylon down, which is why he brought that mothership core forward.
The overlord by Moonglade, does he see all the gateways? He sees the wall at the front. Moonglade might be suspicious that something is happening.
Yes. Saw 2. Like, you still gotta be scared.
And his overlord's going to the top.
For
He's going to spot this probe.
Sees it.
Such a useful thing to know.
No Lings on the way, though. Only drones.
Oh, he's going to see the probe building the pylon. He should be
He only
getting...
has 1 Ling on the map.
Oh, he's going to need more. He might have to give up his 30.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised
gates.
that he just made drones there. He saw the gateways at the front, saw the timing of the gateways as well, and saw the probe at the top of the map. Roach Warren just now being placed down, too.
Every other map, he got the Roach Warren much earlier. This map saying, you know what, it's Daybreak. I can push that back just a little bit. But the pylon is right by the third base.
Oh, no.
The Queen is running. The Queen's like, you know what? This third base may not be the right spot for me to try to defend. Let's back on out of there. Wait, but Alicia cancels that pylon.
What? Oh, he's not doing it.
He would have been able to cancel third base, probably.
Maybe he thought that the Roach Warren was done and that he forced like 5 or 6 roaches out, which he's happy with.
And that's not a bad read because he's always had the Roach Warren earlier in every single other game.
Wow.
Going forward, Moonglade's going to be at a, I mean, of course, it's going to be a stop and attack because there is no attack. Instead, Alicia is just focused on adding the Stargate.
See the upgrade there?
Oh, it's the weapons. We may be seeing a couple Void Rays this game. It is possible. Moonglade's gonna be very happy though, because he didn't even build any roaches. He decided not to.
Yeah, I mean that was almost potentially disastrous for Moonglade. I can't emphasize that enough. But Alicia decided to back up. He's like, you know what? I think I forced roaches out on my opponent. I'm content with that. And now he's gonna feel a little bit silly. I mean, this Phoenix is not gonna see any roaches anywhere. And remember, he had 4 warp gates finished. It's not like he's canceled the gateways anyway. So.
Moonglade banking a lot of minerals. It's interesting. I think he's unsure there's a gateway all incoming, and he's thinking about, do I need to build 10 roaches right now?
Yeah.
Because he has the supply to do so. But now he's building a few drones. He still isn't he has 15 larvae that he's unsure what to use it on. Because he hasn't seen the third base. Now he sees the gateway units clearing out the third, and he saw the probe there as well. So I would anticipate
15 drones.
Yep, exactly.
And a spire.
He wasn't just massing money in larvae because he had bad macro. It was he wanted to see what was going on.
Yeah.
Now Speedney's coming to the third base.
That
Not
shouldn't
enough
do much,
to...
yeah.
not the gateway units can't defend that problem. Great scouting, though. And he actually... You know what's big? He sees the side core whirling, right? He sees the side core is getting an upgrade. And it's obviously not Warp Gate at the 9:30 mark when he sees Warp Gate's already up. So he knows there's an air attack upgrade on the way. He knows... Yeah.
Alicia scouted the spire. So he just added on 2 Stargates.
Is he going to switch over to get a slew of Phoenix?
Well, another question is Moonglade just going to switch over and do something else? It's just this game is full of, I think you're doing this, I'm reacting to this, I think you're reacting by doing this, I'm going to react by doing this. StarCraft 2 is such a complex game. But it just feels like Spire. Like, he has 100,000 gas saved up. This should be 10 meters. But with 2 Phoenix, with 2 Stargates already added on, he's up to 3 Stargates. He has +1 weapons.
Moonglade's going to want to add in Corruptors, of course, as soon as a sizable amount of Phoenix come out. But Alicia's moving out already. He's trying to deny the 4th or 5th base. He has recall with this force.
Yes.
But recall does take some time. If he loses 1 or 2 Void Rays to the Mutas first, every little damage is significant. Can he cross the map and cancel the hatchery? Or will the Mutas come out to stop him in time?
This is going to be very close. 10 Mutas popping out right now. Recall is definitely going to happen. Alicia isn't trying to kill his opponent with 3 Zealots, 3 Sentries, and 2 Void Rays. I promise. But the Muta's coming in. What is he going to target? Going after the Mothership Core. The recall needs to happen right now. Oh, the recall. He's going to back away the Mothership Core. And he's just going to take on the Mutas.
He has the Phoenix support
that
and
was
the
a
Guardian
good choice.
Shield.
I think that was a good choice by Alicia.
Slightly risky. If there were more Speedlings to take out the Sentries very quickly, it would have been a different story. 20 more Speedlings on the way now, but the hatchery is going to go down. The question is, though, can he retreat? Remember, Void Rays are slower to Mutas. So the Void, but there's enough Phoenix coming in. He's rallying more Phoenix very quickly.
There's no spores anywhere. Well, there's 1 spore in the mineral line, but that's not going to be enough. More and more Corruptors and Mutilas trying to be added on here from Moonglade. Moonglade definitely in a lot of trouble here. Alicia trying to take advantage of this timing has 3 Void Rays, plenty of Phoenixes here as well. Zealots on the ground, and Sentries doing a good amount of damage. The Spore Crawler getting taken out. The Mutas trying to turn around and engage here. 4 more Corruptors in the way, but Alicia, his units aren't dying.
What a crazy little timing by Alicia, saying, you know what, Moonglade, I think you're going to be too greedy against me when you see the fact I'm going to air. I'm going to say, you know what, air doesn't have to play for late game. I can take you out early just as easily.
Wow, Alicia up 104 to 84 in supply. Moonglade, he was up 2-1 in this series. Alicia on the verge of winning 2 in a row. There's the good game. Alicia takes it, and Moonglade is out. of WCS America. Alicia, 100% win rate with the Void Race.
Void Rays are good units, man.
That's what I said to him.
He took it to heart.
Yeah. So Alicia's going to be one step closer to getting to getting that spot in Korea. He's going to be in the consolation bracket final. Of course, he's going to play the winner of our next match, which is going to be Snoot versus Crank. But oh, what a heartbreaking loss there for Moonglade.
He was up 2-1. His muted play was excellent, but the triple Stargate play from Alicia was really cool. And
Yeah.
that last game was awesome because if the Zerg player gets to 10 gases very quickly,
Yeah.
the Protoss has a very hard time taking a 4th base because of speedlings. It's very difficult to defend speeding run-bys at all 4 your bases until you have a lot more supply. And so if it's 3 bases to 5, even though Protoss air is slightly more cost-efficient than Zerg air in most ratios, it's going to be 10 gas. So you just get 20 Corruptors and 40 Mutas and just overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And then he can also have the gas to add in a couple Infestors, he can add a couple Fungals on the Void Rays or the Phoenixes, and all of a sudden the Zerg air is going to have the advantage. But he saw timing, and he says, you know what? I think I can make it happen. And that's such a brave thing to not recall out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What if the Mutas don't target the Mothership Core? What if they target the
Go straight for a
Void Rays?
Void Ray?
Or maybe wait a little bit until more units come out on the field.
Yeah.
How much does that game change, really?
I honestly think Moonglade was very surprised when there was no recall.
Yeah, I think
thinking,
he was expecting that.
Yeah, he's like, let's go for Mothership Core, he'll have to recall or else he'll risk losing his army.
Yeah.
And such a heads-up play not to recall. That's a very tough call because it's so hard to tell exactly how many Zerg has. And if Zerg has enough to beat your army at that point in the game, you can't afford to lose 4 Void Rays from there. If you lose 4 Void Rays, you're basically going to be stuck on 3 bases the whole game.
Yeah.
You're going to be overrun. A player like Moonglade is not going to lose. We saw that on Whirlwind. When Moonglade gets ahead, he's just going to easily win.
Right.
So it was a very interesting call, and it worked out amazingly.
It did.
And
it did.
that was super impressive that he was able to make that call.
Yeah, really nice play there from Alicia, taking the best of 5, 3-2. Unfortunately for Moonglade, he's going to be out of WCS America, but great play from him throughout this tournament, and he's going to walk home with plenty of WCS points and plenty of money as well. And he'll be in WCS Premier League Season 2, so you haven't seen the last of Moonglade, I promise. Guys, coming up next, we're going to have Snoot versus Crank. We're going to find out who's going to go up against Alicia in the consolation bracket final. Stay tuned.